thought the day would never come. I thought the day would never come that they would lose a game in regulation in Vancouver. And when the game started, I really thought the game would never come because the goalie couldn't do anything. Eichel scores on his first 2 shots, and it looks like, okay, well, this is probably going to be a nice runaway game. And then the dumb penalty started. That was the first of Howden's 2. That one I thought really changed the game. Like, I'm not a big pick one moment and that's the game type guy, but Vegas is all over them at 5-on-5. They're controlling the game. They're bullying like they have in the past. A lot of things are going right. And then we get just a dumb penalty. And typically, as always, it's Connor Garland. I've said it a million times. I've talked about it years ago. I talked about it when he was in Arizona. I'll talk about it when they play this team in the playoffs if we get to that. This guy's a problem. The guy is a problem against the Golden Knights because he knows how to get under their skin. He's already under their skin. And then he is so good in the area that the Golden Knights struggle in the most, which is clearing out that second chance rebound right near the net. They're usually good at it if they can box guys out. You can't box him out because you can't find him. But I don't want to make this all about Connor Garland. Everybody knows my love for Connor Garland. It will continue. And I think he proved it beyond a shadow of a doubt why I think Connor Garland's so goddamn good. Nonetheless, that penalty is unnecessary. It's a first it's a cross check and then it's another cross check. You're going to get it. They're probably going to take you on that. Can't have it. So now they get the opportunity to score a goal. Not the worst penalty kill. They actually cleared the zone 3 or 4 times. I didn't particularly like the entry defense. Okay, not that big a deal. Not something we've dealt with too often, but then they find the goal. Okay, it's 2-1. This is where they had got to get back to dominating at 5-on-5 again. And it didn't really happen for long enough before the next penalty. I didn't particularly love the next penalty. It happens. It's like a reverse check and the elbow gets a little high, gets in the head. I don't think it was a horrible call, but it's not a ton that I think that Dorofeev can do. Now they've scored. Now it's a tie game. This is where this season has been a bit of an issue. And it seemed like it was going away for a good portion there. And now it seems to be back. And I do think Pietrangelo being out is some of it. This is now 2 games in a row that he has missed, and there has been an issue. Oh, I forgot to change the thing on the bottom. Good call. Whoever said that, let me fix the little Twitter overlay here. Hang on. There we go. That's better. Oh, man, what a disaster that would have been. Hopefully the screen grab that YouTube takes will be better. I made it. I wasn't there. I would have to fix it. Whatever. So with Pietrangelo out, I do think there is an issue of things can snowball a little bit more. And we've seen this a number of different times where they need sometimes a hero to emerge right off of giving up that devastating goal. And I think the second one in the first period feels that way a little bit because it's like, well, we've dominated the game. We're in good shape. Let's put ourselves in a good position here to get going again. You need someone to kind of, for lack of a better term, grab the ball and run with it. It's not a very good term for hockey. Can't necessarily just grab the puck and run. You can't, whatever. You see what I'm saying? Somebody has to actually get that done. Eichel has done it in the past. We've seen a lot of Stone doing that in the past. Pietrangelo's one that can do it. Not having him hurts. Hanifin's a player that I would like to see do a little bit more of it. We didn't see it. The bigger issue is from there, we go forward to a game where the goalie is terrible. He can't do much of anything. This is probably a 3 or 4, 5-1 game. I don't know if it's 4-1 if they have a goalie who's even close to an NHL level. Like he was bad. He got better as the game went on. He made a couple of saves in the third period, but for the most part, he was bad. In that respect, you've got to get opportunities on goal. And this is a team that actually, I think they played better in front of this goalie than they did in front of DeSmith. And I'm interested to see what it looks like once they get Demko back in there, which is this team has turned into something very similar to what we used to see in the DeBoer era. And then sometimes we saw it a little bit last year, but it was more the DeBoer time where it's basically they're able to crank up the shot suppression machine. They're able to gum up the neutral zone, force you to put it in deep, and then they have good skaters and powerful guys. Quinn goes back and get it. You're not going to beat that. You're not winning that race. Hronik's kind of the same way. And then when the big guys go back and get it, Myers and Zadorov, when they go back, you're going to have a hard time getting the puck off of them and making something happen. So you need more forward pressure on the forecheck, and that just was not there until basically 2 minutes left in the game. A really good highlight that Nighty and Gaucher showed late in the game was that pinch by Martinez. That's the type of thing that has to be there a little bit earlier, especially if it's a 1-goal game and you're down. Like if that's a tie game, I don't mind not really throwing caution to the wind there. But in this particular case, with a goalie that you know is going to give you opportunities, you really want to get forward and take that chance a little bit earlier. And I thought they just were not good enough at that. And then the puck retrievals, which were awesome for the first 10 to 15 minutes of the game, disappeared as the game went on. Disappointing to see that also happen where it was so good. They were holding the puck in the zone. They were getting underneath the goal. And that's somewhere that I'm going to maybe show if we end up getting to this this playoff series is late in that game. I need to make a note. Hopefully somebody remind me this if I forget. If we get to a series with Vancouver, you can sit below the goal line and they do not come off their post to go defend it. It's similar to what the Golden Knights do, but the Golden Knights actually will then put some pressure on, and therefore then they have to have the forward, the defenseman dive down or somebody else get into the play. With them, they basically just sit there. So if you can utilize that, take that space, take that time behind the goal, close to the goal, very dangerous spot for the goalie because he doesn't know where it's going to come out. If you can make something happen there, you can be very dangerous. The Golden Knights were not in this particular game. They really did not either make the pass properly into the middle or they took a simpler pass around the outside. Wasn't particularly good. Yeah, I don't know that we can quite get the Michigan there because typically you have to be standing still to make it happen. It's very difficult to pick the puck up and then get moving. Kind of have to be moving to do it. But yes, that is something that you can look at and say, this is an option of we've got to have more answers once we get down there, knowing they're not going to challenge a little bit more. Let me talk about kind of it seems like the hot button issue right here. And here, I'll just go to Josh's comment here. What was Haig doing pushing a player into the goalie, leading a goal? So today, Haig is under quite a bit of fire, and I understand it. I don't think he's been particularly good for a couple of games here. I didn't think he was good in the third period in Arizona. I don't think he's the answer in the top pair. I just don't think he's at the level at this moment that he's going to be able to go against elite players consistently and in elite situations when you're chasing a goal, when you're down a goal, when it's tied late, in these situations that we're inevitably going to see in 2 weeks when we get to the playoffs. Like, that's where you're going to have someone else. Now, does it have to be Hutton? Do you have to actually take Haig out of the lineup? I don't necessarily think that's the case. Whitecloud has had some issues himself in the back. He is right-handed, so there's a benefit there. You don't have an extra right-handed player because Petrangelo's out. Once they do get that back, now maybe there's a way to kind of shift things around. But to me, just moving Haig down the lineup, down in the second or even third pair is probably the better option. And I'm actually interested now, as we get closer, if we can start looking at, can it be Pietrangelo with McNabb? If we go Pietrangelo and McNabb, then we can potentially do Hanifin and Theodore and really utilize them in a much more offensive situation. And I don't think, because I think Hanifin's very good at closing off plays, I think they'll be all right defending, and I think they'll actually tilt the ice more often than not. You can get a lot of offensive zone opportunities and then utilize Hagen and Whitecloud in situations where you get maybe a D-zone draw against this third line, fourth line, something like that, and utilize that opportunity to get a little bit easier minutes on players that haven't had the best of the seasons. Now, I understand that Theodore's not having quite the season he was having. I don't necessarily know what's going on with him, whatever. Let's talk about this one. Will the Knights even make the playoffs? A ridiculous question that I know Christian's probably not actually serious about, but I'm going to take it anyway. But first, I'm going to tell you that this Periscope and all Periscopes this season, including every single game during the playoffs, hopefully there are like 20-something games during the playoffs and not like 6, but as many as there are, I will be on after every single game, and they are all brought to you by the Jimmerson Law Firm. The Jimmerson Law Firm is one of Las Vegas's preeminent law firms specializing in high-stakes business, civil, and family litigation. When winning matters, seek out the Jimmerson Law Firm. What a terrible – oh, no, okay, it was in the corner. I used to have the ad in the corner where Christian's comment was. Now it's up over here. So that's good. I can't figure it out. Okay, so will the Golden Knights make the playoffs? Yes. I don't think the Golden Knights have to win a single game the rest of the season, and I believe they will still make the playoffs. I do not think that Minnesota will run the table. They are only 2 points away from being eliminated from Vegas. I do not think that St. Louis will even win enough to not lose 4 points all the way through. That being said, I think the Golden Knights are going to get those 4 points themselves anyway once we get to the last couple of games, Anaheim, Chicago, and someone else shitty that I can't remember off the top of my head right now. I don't know. There's 3 bad games at the end of the season, 3 winnable home games that I think they'll be able to, at the very least, get 4 points from. They're going to make the playoffs. Now, where do they land? That becomes the question. I'm going to pull the standings up here. I don't have a thing to actually show it, so we'll actually just talk about it instead of having the little graphic up there. Here's where we're at. So the Golden Knights currently sit in 8th. They are 2 points behind Nashville with a game in hand. So there's an argument that that's pretty darn close. Vegas can potentially win the game in hand. That being said, Edmonton's next on the road. Colorado's at home. They're playing pretty well. I know they just lost the big game to Dallas. We will see. I don't think 7th is out of play yet. I don't think 8th is out of play at all. I also don't think 3rd in the Pacific is out of play, which is LA. Vegas is now 1 point behind them. The challenge with LA is their schedule is very easy. I think there's a reasonable chance that in the final 5 games, they put up 8 to 9 points. If they do that, Vegas would have to win out because they're not going to have the tiebreaker. So the tiebreaker is regulation wins. The Golden Knights have 32. LA has 35. It's going to be awfully difficult for the Golden Knights to overcome that all the way to the end here. Now, if they do overcome it, then they will then have regulation and overtime wins. They will end up having it. But I don't think they're going to overcome that. So they have to beat them before we get to the tiebreaker. They're going to have 1 extra point. Yeah, Minnesota. That's right. All right, Minnesota, Chicago, Anaheim. Yeah, it's winnable games. I don't think Minnesota's going to be out by that point. They weren't very good. Anyway, I don't think you want to finish 8th. I think that's really the only thing that we have to look at right now. Because if you finish 8th, it's almost certainly going to be Dallas. Dallas is 107. Vancouver is 104. They have to make up 3 points in 4 games. Pretty unlikely down this stretch. Dallas is now 9-1-0 in their last 10. They're probably not going to lose much. So the problem is if the Golden Knights were to finish 8th, or if Dallas were to drop underneath Vancouver and Vegas finishes 7th, you don't want to be on that side. Because I don't think the second round matchup of Colorado or Winnipeg, whoever wins that, is as good as the potential matchup of Edmonton or LA. I think LA could potentially win that series. I don't think they will, but they could. I do not really want to play Dallas and then Colorado and then Edmonton or Vancouver. Don't like that. Now, you move up 1 slot and it ends up being Vancouver or Edmonton. Now I'm not that concerned. So to me, how these games all fall out, there's only one goal. Find a way ahead of LA or Nashville. If they can find a way ahead of either, and they are also going to lose the tiebreaker on Nashville, 36 regulation wins to 32. So they got to find a way above these teams in points. Probably going to have to win at least a couple points out of the next 2 games, maybe even 3 points, and then find a way to put up 5 of the 6 in the end, if not all 6 in that Minnesota, Chicago, and Anaheim situation. That's not going to be the easiest thing in the world. So maybe the other option is hope Dallas falls down and Vancouver can pass them. I don't know that that's going to happen. So it does now look like Dallas, Vancouver, or Edmonton. For travel purposes, please make it not Edmonton. I also don't particularly like the deal with Edmonton anyway. I know they're not playing as well. I know that there are definitely some weak spots there, but we will see. 4th line is another hot button issue that I thought was coming up today. It's certainly not as good when it's not Waugh, Carrier, and Kolazar. Today ends up being Howden, Cotter, and Kolazar. I definitely don't think it's as good. Just to finish this off, yes, 4 points won or lost by St. Louis. If the Golden Knights win 4 points or they win 2 and St. Louis loses 2, Vegas wins 1, St. Louis loses 3. However you want to get to the math, 4 points is what we need. The Golden Knights have 5 games left. St. Louis has 4. That is 9. That is 18 points available. The Golden Knights need 4 of them to go their way. It's virtually impossible that they're not going to get it. I just don't think it's going to happen. But like I said, finding a way to win one of these next 2 games becomes pretty critical because you do not want to finish in 8th and have to go to Dallas. We'll see where we're at. I just don't think this 4th line as currently constructed is good enough. I think the one that's been pulling his weight more so than anybody has been Kolesar. I thought he was pretty good today. I do think there's a little bit of added physicality that's not necessary. I don't understand why Brett Howden's getting smoked every single game and he's taking penalties. Like, I don't fully understand what's going on with him and where we're at there. I don't really think there's another option, though. As we look at the forward group, you probably get Nick Waugh back. It seems like that one's not going to be that long. I don't know that Carrier is coming back. I'm not even sure they can activate him off LTIR. So there's a possibility he doesn't play in the final 5 games. Once we get to the playoffs, maybe he's then there and he probably is able to go back to doing what he's doing. But they probably need to look. And there's an argument to be made. Like, Mason Morelli did good things, and he did good things for an extended period of time in that spot. So why it was Brisson in the last one, I don't really understand. If you're going to move Brisson up the lineup and play him in the power play, fine. But I don't necessarily like the idea of Cotter, Howden, and Kolesar. I don't know that I love Howden as the center. I think there's an argument to be made that maybe you even look to Ronbier and have him play center. Like, I think there are some different options that we're at. This I don't think is accurate that he can be back by the 19th. I have to go back and look when his last game was, but I don't think I think it's less than that because of the fact that he is retroactive on LTIR. Let me see if I can find real quickly when the last game was. I saw that I saw that pop up earlier too, that people were saying that one. Let's see, when was he out? He was out on 3/25. So actually, that is kind of close. Yeah, that actually might be right. He went out injured on 3/25. So yeah, okay. I'm wrong. I'll go back. It does look like the earliest he can come back is 4/19. And if that's the case, and that's where they're at, I don't know. We're going to get him for the beginning of the playoffs. So we'll see. Good call there. I thought it was farther back. So that's that. Power play. 2 goals today, still didn't think it was very good. And I'm trying to figure out how the power play can be this undangerous, good word, when they have a cheat code getting through the neutral zone and into the offensive zone. Like, Eichel picks it up, gets right into the offensive zone every single time. They never have problems with entries anymore. And then now, this game, they go 2 full minutes with that group out there. And really, I didn't particularly like either of the goals. Like, I didn't really think they were all that dangerous, really, at all. So I don't know. I don't really feel all that great about the power play still. I think the penalty kill is heading in the wrong direction. I don't understand if that was just figuring something out against the Golden Knights or what, but they were just bouncing it between 3 players and the other 2 were standing right in front of the goal. And Vegas was not pushing them out. They did not win the second chances. They were not doing a lot. And those 3 passing it around the outside of 2 and then dragging the player back down to then open that high slot shot where you got 2 in front and then 2 Vegas players in front of them shooting through 4 guys. I don't really want Quinn Hughes doing that because if he sees a piece of net, he's probably going to hit it. That's what ended up happening today. So that's a part that I didn't like the entry defense. I didn't particularly like the end zone when it came to that portion of it. I thought the aggressiveness was pretty good. A couple bobbled pucks, I thought they got after that pretty well. So I liked that portion. But that concerns me that that's almost like a little blueprint there. It's like, hey, not only was it 1 in front of the goal, send a second in front of the goal. Instead of having that bumper, just open it up because Vegas does not defend in a way that you're probably going to be able to get the puck into the bumper very often. They play a box, and then the 2 guys drop back as the puck comes down to the half walls. It's very difficult to get the puck into the middle. So you just throw that other guy in front of the goal instead of directly in between the dots, and now all of a sudden you've got a much more dangerous look, assuming you can get shots through. I did think shot blocking was a problem today. Hurdle, not good on the one that he had the opportunity to get. And I thought Haig and Whitecloud didn't do a very good job either. Certainly Whitecloud, I can remember. I think Haig was out there for one of the other ones. Pardon me if I'm not right on that one. But shot blocking was not very good today. And that's a part that, okay, 78 games in, 77 games into the season, maybe it's not that big a deal. Maybe we can end up in a situation where they are going to block shots a little bit better once we get to the playoffs because the games are going to matter quite a bit more. And you look at it and it's like, it doesn't really make a difference if we move up or move down or whatever. I do think, again, it would be nice win one of these next 2 games and find a way down the stretch to get yourself out of 8th place. That would be ideal. But we'll see. We'll see what ends up happening with that. If anybody has questions, go ahead and pop them in the chat. I got a couple of minutes before I get out of here. Again, this Periscope and all Periscopes are brought to you by the Jimmerson Law Firm. Jimmerson Law Firm is one of Las Vegas' preeminent law firms specializing in high-stakes business, civil, and family litigation. When winning matters, seek out the Jimmerson Law Firm. Winning does matter. They didn't do it today. Again, questions, put them down in the comments. I will take a drink of water and then read some. Is it maybe I'm not? Oh, there we go. How long until Hurdle gets moved to center? Next game, I think, is probably the answer. I did find it quite interesting that we're putting him on the wing to start because we want to ease him back into the game, and then he's immediately on the penalty kill. He's immediately on the power play. He's immediately on the 6-on-5. Like, what are we easing him into here? I don't really understand how we ended up in that situation. Just let it go. Let him play. If you need to move Stevenson down, like I don't mind that even. Is in the situation we're currently in, put Stevenson 4th line center or however you want to do it. I don't know, but I don't think Howden's a good enough center to have what you want to be doing. So that's where I'm at. Prediction for the Edmonton game. Little concerned because I don't think Pietrangelo is going to be back for that game. I know Howden or Waz not, and I know Carrier is not. Obviously Stone is not. Hurdle, I think, is going to get better every single game, so I think that's going to be a benefit. That top line's been very good, and I think they will continue to be very good. Eichel, Marchessault, and Barbashev. So that looks good against that team, but they got a guy who has 100 assists, so that scares me a little bit. And I think they have a goalie that's been a lot better, and the Golden Knights have not been elite recently, at least, at finding ways to beat goalies. Like, they've gotten some very fortunate goals, certainly tonight. So we will see. How did I feel about Thompson's performance today? I thought he was all right today. I didn't think he was bad. Like, most of them, not his fault. Haig standing right in front of him. There's one that spills off to the side, and Garland puts it back in on the power play. The other one is basically just through traffic with a guy right in front of him. Like, I didn't think he was bad. I thought last game he was a huge reason why it went from 4-1 all the way down to what it was. So that was a problem. I don't know what they're going to do here because now Hill's going to be back. Hill did not back up today. I would assume it will be Thompson again in the next game. I think it would be interesting and risky, in my opinion, to go to Hill in the next game. If he wasn't healthy enough to back up today, I don't know you want to play him as a starter on Wednesday against that team. So that's a little risky to me. So then you end up with 4 games left in the season. Are you going to give him all 4? And if you give him all 4, then he's clearly your starter because you don't want to go from the 10th all the way to the 21st without Thompson in there. Or does Thompson get a couple of these games and then Hill's only getting 1 or 2 games and now he's clearly not the starter? So I think they would like to get Hill back to being the starter, but I don't know that there's time. Maybe if he plays the next game, there's a little bit more time. He gets 3 starts. Thompson gets 2. You end up going with Hill if he looks good. I don't know. I think that one's going to be one we're going to be talking about in that first round. Who's it going to be? How long is his leash going to be? What is it going to look like? So we will see. That is, of course, assuming they both stay healthy, which has been an issue. Thompson, fortunately, whatever happened in practice was not that bad because it looked bad. I didn't tweet that out for no reason. Like, it looked bad. I've not seen many goalies go off like that. I'm assuming he caught something in the knee. It could have been a shot around his pad that kind of caught his knee. That's kind of what it looked like. It did not look good. So we'll see what ends up happening when we get there. Let's see. Would you change any of the lines from the next game? I would. I think Hurdle should go in the middle. I think if Hurdle's not going to play in the middle, put him with Carlson. Like, that's kind of how I view it. I don't think that a Hurdle, Stevenson, Amadio line necessarily offers something that you might get if you decide to go with, say, Dorofeev or Mantha with Hurdle and Carlson. Like, I think there's different options there. I would probably switch some of it up. I would not touch the first line. Will Stone play a game in preseason or in the postseason? Yes, I think he absolutely will. I don't think they've ruled him out for the postseason. I don't think they're going to rule him out for the postseason. I think he is going to play. How quickly that's going to happen, I don't know. I asked yesterday. Sorry, Bruce. He mentioned it earlier in the press conference, and I missed it, and then asked him again, and I'm sure that annoyed him. But I asked if Mark Stone has been skating, and he said there's nothing new there, which indicates that he has not. The way I understand a lacerated spleen injury, you're not supposed to have much physical activity at all for an extended period of time. He's been out for a while. So I don't think that's going to be one where he's just going to get on the ice and all of a sudden be perfectly fine and ready to go. I think it's going to take a couple of weeks. So for him to still not be on the ice, I don't know. That one concerns me. Podcast soon. Yes, tomorrow is the plan, assuming things go as according to plan. This is good. Eichel 22, Hurdle 20, Carlson 18-40. I'm good with that. I think in the first game, maybe switch Carlson and Hurdle in his first game. I don't fully understand that, but we'll see. Will Hill start? I don't have the answer for that. I don't even know if he's going to be healthy enough. I still feel a little weary about what Cassidy said today, which is like, we gave him a majority of the workload in the morning skate. If he's able to handle it, we'll put him as the backup, and then he ends up not being the backup. Now, 2 days later with travel, now he's the starter. Like, I don't know about that. We have 5 games to win 1 to 2 games. Yeah, basically. And like, honestly, I'm not even that concerned, because I don't think St. Louis is going to win enough points. They have 8 games or 4 games left, 8 points. I think they will lose 4 of them. I think they will take care of it for Vegas. I think 92, where the Golden Knights are currently at, is enough. And the Golden Knights have the tiebreaker on them. That might change. I guess that would probably, no, not necessarily. 3 wins. Yeah, maybe. But I'm not that worried about it. Like, I think they're going to lose twice, and I think Vegas is already in. I think 92 is going to be enough. I said at the beginning of like months ago, I thought it was 93 or 94 that's going to be enough. I still think that's probably going to be plenty. I think the Golden Knights probably land on 97 to 98, maybe even more. Those last 3 games should be wins. They should already have those 2 last games tacked on as wins already. That's 96. These next 2 games are tricky, and then the Minnesota game, like, find a way to get 3 points out of that, and there you are at 99. Like, you're right there. So not all that concerned. Do I think they should put Patera in the net more? I do not. Any scoop on Pietrangelo? I do not at the moment. We're working to get more information on that, but we do not have any information at the moment on that one. Thanks again to the Jimmerson Law Firm. Can't believe they actually lost a game in regulation in Vancouver. Didn't think that was possible. It's been 7 years. Did not think that was possible. Hopefully the next game that's in Vancouver in the playoffs, if we end up getting there, is not another loss. And then we go back to dominating them up there. This game did look like the intensity was a little higher from the other team, something that has not been common. Oh, yeah, all right. I'm backwards. Yeah, Wild is Friday. Avs is Saturday. I'm way off. I don't know how the schedule works. I actually didn't realize there's another. Whatever. Nonetheless, figure it out. They're going to figure it out. I do think that this matchup looked worse today than it has in a long time. I loved it after what we saw in the last game. They bullied them. They pushed them around. They got the transition chances. They got the exits. They did all the things that they normally do against this team and whipped them off the ice. Today, it didn't look that way. I know they had a 2-0 lead. I understand that. Concerns me. Will Hannafin sign if they miss the playoffs? They're not going to miss the playoffs, so that question is moot. They will not miss the playoffs. You can all come on here and ridicule me till the end of time if they miss the playoffs. Literally 10 years from now, I'm fine with you saying, hey, but that pod Periscope after the Vancouver loss, you said they won't miss the playoffs. I'm allowed to ridicule you for the next 10 years. You're allowed to do that if they miss the playoffs. They're not going to miss the playoffs. That's what I'm ending on. The Golden Knights will not miss the playoffs. Stop tweeting me and asking me about that. It's not going to happen. They're going to make the playoffs. The question is, where do they land and who do they play in that first round? And does the matchup look good? And who's going to be in the Golden Knights net? I don't know. We shall see. Good night, everyone.